Thank you. Here we go. You see some colors on the screen, right? Now.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. So, okay, thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this workshop. A workshop with a question mark. Can peers and practitioners be friends? And I would like to talk a bit and also think a bit with you about this question mark as well. So it's not this workshop is about thinking together. It's not about a finished question or a definite answer. It's more about what happens or what could happen if. And I'm thinking about this for the last 10 or 12 years based on previous but also current collaborative research, mainly within the field of people with intellectual disabilities, but also a little bit in mental health research. And so the main question is, how can or should we relate to each other in long-term collaboration or in care practices? First, a brief introduction of myself. So I'm Gustaaf Bos. I live in the Netherlands. At the moment, I'm on my attic. And I work for the University of Humanistic Studies in Utrecht, in the Department of Care Ethics. And just in case you don't know what care ethics are, care ethics is built on the work of Joan Tronto. And basically, Tronto says everything, care ethics is about everything we do to maintain, continue, repair our world so that we can live in it as well as possible. So care ethics is rather a broad conception of what care is. It's not restricted to professional care systems, but it's about a fundamental trait of who we are and what we do as human beings. And within our department, the main critical insights we start from in our research is that knowledge is always situational and relational, has to do with our bodies, and also has to do with power and position. So it's also political. As for the program for the next 25 minutes, I would like to share some of my thoughts on this question. So can peers and practitioners be friends? And I prepared it. And when I prepared it, it was about 15 minutes. So I guess we'll be more or less the same now. And then leaves us a little over 10 minutes to come with your thoughts and responses, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that sounds great, thanks.
Okay, so can peers and practitioners be friends? Like I said before, I would like to think about this with you based on my own collaborative research, so far with people in chronic residential care, but also people in vulnerable situations who live in their own homes and their family members and care professionals. And this always has all kinds of links with existing literature as well. I won't go into that, but trust me, it is, and I can tell you a little bit more about that if you would like to, or refer you to some of the literature. Okay, so first about this friendship. Many people wrote about this, obviously, not in the least within science, but also in literature about friendship. So I won't go into depth into this, but I think if we look at friendship, it has to do something with something of endurance. So we're holding on to each other. It also has to do with sharing certain interests or activities. It has to do with supporting each other somehow. And I think maybe most importantly, it has to do with missing someone when he or she is not around. And I think it's also important to establish that we have all kinds of different friendships. There's no such thing as one kind of friendship or one best way of being friends to each other. And speaking for myself, and I asked this many people around me as well, I have many different friends and that many different friendships as well, with different values and different shapes and sizes. In current collaborative research, and specifically in the field of mental health, there appear recently similar or apparently similar notions close to friendship, like allyship or critical friendship. However, these notions, they tend to stay within a very distant realm of professionalism for researchers and practitioners. So the way this allyship is operationalized is rather in a professional and distant way. So while on the other hand, peers share personal experience and knowledge, the professionals and the researchers don't. They listen to them, they are open to their peers, but they don't share their own personal experiences or knowledge. They bring professional and scientific knowledge to the table. And I'd like to give you some arguments for a more intimate and interpersonal approach of collaboration, because I think inevitably collaborative research projects, especially when they are long-term, and many of them are long-term within long-term care practices, they are about getting towards knowing together. So this has these two components. On the one hand, we have getting to know each other, I mean, in an interpersonal way. Who are you? Who am I? Who are we to each other? And on the other hand, we have this building or producing a knowledge base together. And these two types of, so on the one hand, getting to know each other, on the other hand, getting towards knowing together, they are interrelated. We can't see them separate from each other. So there is this necessarily, I would say, interpersonal side to long-term collaboration. So, and I think whether we like it or not in this professional care context, as peers and as practitioners, we
Sorry about that, folks. I've now admitted it's my fault. I thought
Thank
I was
you,
on.
Claire. Thank you, Claire. I'm happy it wasn't mine. So we respond to each other as whole persons. That's the point. We don't solely respond as professionals or as peers or whatever role we have. We have assigned. We respond to each other as whole persons, and we can decide whether we reflect on that or whether we make this whole person thing explicit, which gives us a power position as practitioner or as researcher. But why would we do that? So why would we shield with a rather one-sided professional logic or a professional legitimation for our position or our behaviors when we come to realize that we are not solely professionals, but we are whole human beings within this collaboration? So that's one of the arguments for a more intimate and interpersonal approach of collaboration on the side of practitioners. Another argument would be that peers or survivors of people in vulnerable situations, they tend to share all kinds of personal stuff with us. And maybe this would be stuff that you would normally share with friends or with family. So
Gustaaf,
Yes.
sorry to stop you. We're just on the first slide. You going through your slides? We just seem to have the first slide. We don't. Someone's just put in the notes. We can only see your opening slide. Yeah,
Really?
I'm assuming you're going through.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
You don't see this. Okay. You don't see me
all we've seen is
changing.
the screen with the front slide, and then yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll try again. I'll send you my slides anyway. But can you see this? Can you see this now? And can you see this me changing this? I mean, when I look at my screen, I see interpersonal approach of collaboration research.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what we can.
Okay, please.
Gustav, I think if you press the full screen button, then we might not see the other slides on the left. It might be a bit bigger for us to see. Are you with me?
Yeah, you don't see this is. Yeah, you don't see the full slide?
We can see the slide that you want us to see, but we can also see the others as small thumbnails down the left. So it just means it's very small on our screen.
It's like you haven't shown a slideshow. If you do a slideshow, it all goes up to the slideshow, Gustav.
Yeah, I know. I did the slides. I see the slideshow.
But we can
now
see
here.
them though. It's just a bit
Okay.
small. We can see them, so don't worry about it.
Put your glasses on, please. I'm sorry about this. I pressed slideshow, but so I see. I have a good screen now, but unfortunately you don't.
And we can make our screen bigger by moving the bar to the right. Yeah.
Are we okay to continue?
Yeah. Sorry, Gustav. That's fine. You carry on. It's fine. You can see it.
Okay. Okay. And a third argument will be that as practitioners or as researchers, I only came to realize this a couple of years ago when a mother to a child with severe intellectual disabilities told me this, that as researcher or as practitioners, we may be perceived as friends. Whereas we can say from our point of view, I'm only there because I'm paid for it, or I'm here for professional reasons. Due to what we share with the people, or due to a vulnerable or a certain position the other person has, and our relationship or with them, we may be perceived as friends, or we may come across, they may come across certain feelings or experiences which other people might experience in friendship. And I heard this but a lot also from people when they talked about their support staff. So the same experiences of, and this also had this unexpected and even sometimes unwanted element to it, that especially in contexts with high staff turnover, or in projects where you have to say goodbye quite often to the people you work with, then you had this unwanted aspect of this friendship, of these feelings of friendship as well, because now I came to trust you, or now we talked with each other, or we shared certain things, and now you leave again. So this is not only okay, we should be friends, but this is also, these are also some dilemmas attached to this becoming friends, whether you like it or not, whether you intend for that to happen or not. Having said this, within collaborative practices and also within academia or in care organizations I worked with, explicit intimacy and explicit personal exchange seems to be perceived mainly as something which is ought to be restricted to the realms of friends or family, not necessarily in collaborative efforts. And this provides tensions, and it's problematic in the light of what I said before. When people come to think of us as friends or do experience us as friends, then we have to do something about that as the person, or as the persons who are perceived as friends. We cannot simply say, okay, but we don't see it that way. We have to do more. Therefore, with many others, I'm in favor of getting rid of the rather artificial professional private divide in our thinking about and performing in research, but also in care practices. Like Catherine Church said a long time ago already, she wrote a brilliant biography, a critical biography about this. She wrote that collaboration between peers and practitioners, or between peers and other people, is often unsettling and is highly emotional and personal, rather than distant and rational. Thus, we need to acknowledge this and take this seriously, learn from it, and try to incorporate it in our collaborative efforts. That's the point I am at this moment, and this leads to many questions I'm still struggling with, or I'm still pondering about, and I hope you will think with me as well during this session. I will say a bit more, and then I'm open to your responses, and I hope the slide will join me. Does it? I mean, the current slides should say an ethic of friendship in collaboration and research.
No, it's still on the interpersonal approach of collaboration.
Okay. Don't know what's happening here, but I will share again.
I wouldn't worry, Gustav. I'd just talk as long as you've got access to them. We like hearing your voice anyway, so just go with the flow.
Okay,
Margaret, if you were trying to speak, you're on mute.
So yes, I was saying, sorry, Gustav, you know, I think we're all absorbing, you know, what you're saying. So if you could just carry on, because what you're saying is so interesting. We don't want to lose anything, you know. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that as well. It's a nice way of putting it. Thank you.
On the bottom of your screen, there's a percentage, 54%. If you go to that 54% and run it up, it should make the screen bigger.
Okay, I will continue.
Okay.
So my position at this point in favor of an ethic of friendship and collaboration and in research in long-term care. And Tillman Healy wrote beautifully about this in putting forward a plea for friendship as method and an ethic of friendship within that method as well. And this was not a strict ethic, but it implied thinking about, okay, how will I do right by an emerging friendship or within research between people with different power positions, different privileges, etc. And so some of the things I think about at this moment, and I would like to hear your thoughts as well, is about so intimacy and proximity. They appear to be frightening sometimes for us. For us being, I mean, for researchers or for practitioners. Why is that so? So why is it so frightening to deal with that in another than professional way? Is it because they or we don't feel alike? I mean, as practitioners, do we not feel alike? Do we not feel the same as peers? Do we, or is it, and vice versa? So do peers not feel the same as practitioners? Is it because they or we don't feel legitimated to feel alike? Because they or we don't have the words or the frames of references or the structures to act more like friends? I'm not sure. Maybe a bit of both and maybe more. And meanwhile, we also have this destabilizing context with regards to building friendships. We have in many cases, we have high staff turnover. What I said before, we have these project structures of collaborative efforts, which are not helping to construct long-term and sustainable collaboration, let alone friendships. And we also have this ongoing societal marginalization and stigmatization of people with intellectual disabilities, of people with mental health experiences, wherein they appear as other. And also vice versa. And I think in the light of current developments around social justice movements, which sometimes seems to polarize positions between people who are in power and people who are subjected to power. So I think this question of perceived otherness is relevant between practitioners and peers. So, and then especially what is so disturbing, what is so confusing in the other or in the perceived otherness? I think we need to reflect on our tendency to evade this otherness or to attack it or to overpower it. Why are we confused by this otherness? What is it that makes us so confused? What does it tell us about us and about us in relation to this otherness? Because it's always a relational phenomenon, otherness. No one is strange on their own. It's always, it mainly has to do with us, or with the one who finds or who experiences this otherness. And I think also one of the things I think about is as researchers or as practitioners, we are part of these exclusionary structures. We co-shape them as well. So because we are part of these dynamics in society, in the same society that we criticize, we have some kind of a power position. So therefore we should take position. I think we should become political in this sense. So I think this notion of friendship also has this political component in order to do more right by everyone involved. So not only by the peers, but also by practitioners and by family members and by researchers, I think, and also by all the issues at stake. We should become political. And I think, or at least I hope at this point that this ethic of friendship or friendship as method might help get us closer to each other, to build sustainable connections with each other and try out challenging collaborations as persons who are different to each other or have different positions, but also have shared interests or shared needs and dreams. So I think we ought to develop and apply an ethic of friendship, or at least certain aspects of this ethic of friendship in collaborative research and long-term care practices. And the question then is, so what will happen if we do? And what do we need from organizations and from policies, from structures, but also from funding bodies to support this? So these are basically the questions I have and what I think about concerning this question: can peers and practitioners be friends? Thank you.